Pound.
In a world
Get the hell up!
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
Wow. What an abysmal performance by the Carolina Panthers after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their own home stadium put up a whopping 552 yards on this Carolina Panthers defense. CK, this to me feels like the type of performance to get some people fired, namely Ejiro Evero, and maybe even a few more people too. We're obviously going to talk today about the difference between tanking versus just outright getting your ass kicked. We're going to talk about Bryce Young and how he looked today, and how, in my opinion, there was a little bit of everything for everyone. If you're a Bryce truther or a Bryce detractor, you saw a little bit of something today that forwarded your own narrative. And I think that this is an example of how badly the Carolina Panthers need to revamp their defense. It is bad. This is probably the worst Carolina Panthers defense I have ever seen. It was so bad, the professor, Tony Dunn, he needed a substitute today. He said, I'm taking the day off of this one. Me and my boys, CK and Cody Allen, are going to hold it down with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. We got Alex Mex Pro, Brad, David R, Easy Did That, ERH, Harvey London, our girl Kristen Butler, Roosevelt Mongo, Spicy the Goat 12, and U-Haul Card Collector. CK, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll. What is your initial assessment of these Carolina Panthers after this absolute shellacking?
Listen, I don't think you're wrong on your assumption or your assessment of the Bryce Young situation, right? I think it is 100% an opportunity where I'm going to think somebody's wrong based on their opinion, but they're also going to think I'm wrong, and they're not going to be wrong, and there are feelings about that. So, which is the funny thing about it all. I think that this was exactly what Cody would refer to as administrative tanking. And what I mean by that is this was a poor performance. Don't get me wrong, but when you put your star running back who you just paid on IR with no indication that he'd been injured at all, somebody put it in the chat before we went live, high stepping into the end zone to win the game last week, right? Like no indication of an injury whatsoever. You know, you do the same thing with Smith Wade, and then you do that. You're sitting a lot of people this week due to injury. Man, it just feels as though there is an intentional JC Horn being out. It just seems intentional to have those guys off the field. And you could look at it twofold. Number one, you can look at it as the Panthers are trying to secure that record. I think the key pieces on defense being kept out, I think that is almost like a, hey, Avera, I know you're trying to fight for your job right now, but you're already out the door, so we're not going to really give you any bones here. Today proved that he doesn't have the ability to coach his talent up whatsoever. Like 550 yards when you know what they're doing every single time is just unacceptable. Dudes were wide open at every single, it would be different if that 550 yards was an impressive 550 yards. It was not. It was wide open touchdowns, wide open.
They could do whatever Mike Evans did whatever he wanted. McMillan did whatever he wanted. Baker Mayfield had a career day, 5 touchdowns, I believe. This is what when I said, CK, this is the performance that gets someone fired. Like, I don't know if and this is a good discussion that we need to have with everyone here in the chat and me and you as well. Like, when does Ejiro Evero get fired? Is this the type of loss that gets Evero fired by Monday?
No,
Like, that's a
no.
legitimate question that, I mean, we say no, I think no, but potentially as just a sign of Canales being the boss and showing what isn't acceptable, maybe he will. What I will say is this: no matter what happens, this is the reason why Evero is out the door. A 50 burger. I mean, listen, I know that you're saying that we're tanking too, but I think a lot of what we have to discern is, was this just an ass kicking or was this tanking? Because I see so many fundamental flaws on this defense. No one wraps up when they have the opportunity to make a tackle. It's absolutely embarrassing the amount of yards after contact that every Buccaneers receiver and running back was able to muster.
Yeah.
Just juking people out of their shoes, which was great for my fantasy team, by the way. Thank you, Bucky. But not good for my team, the Carolina Panthers. Dude, they look so fundamentally lost, CK.
Yeah.
I really do think you have to put it on just more than us putting and sitting down a few people. Like, this is abysmal. This is one of the worst defenses that the Carolina Panthers have ever fielded, that I've ever seen in all my time being a diehard Carolina Panther fan.
Dude, I don't disagree. I think it is. I think the talent level is abundantly clear that it is a bad defense. But the thing is, like, I've seen teams who have good coordinators still look like a reasonably good defense, even with people that you wouldn't even recognize their names, right? We don't. Even when you had the people on the team that you would like want to be the star players, we still aren't looking like we're a good defense or even an average defense. So I think it has to fall on Evero. I don't think he's fired by tomorrow, but he is 100% out the door by Monday next week. And the only reason I think that it's not going to happen this week is there's no, like, it would be different if we were midway through the season fighting for something, right? We're not. There's no benefit whatsoever to firing him right now outside of making that making it worse on him. Now, he might be the first defensive coordinator fired within 10 minutes of the final game. You know, he may not even make it to Black Monday. But I tell you what, I just can't see a scenario where there's just no benefit to firing that dude early. Like, there's just nothing that really does for the team. It does nothing for David Tepper. It doesn't give us an advantage in searching for a defensive coordinator. If you don't think they're already putting together a list of people that they would like to replace him with, you're out of your mind. But yeah, this is just, I don't know what else to say, man. It is an absolute, I really think we need to go and look at the stats now, because that's been one of the things. They were on pace at one point to be the worst defense in the history of the NFL in yards allowed and points allowed. And so I would be thoroughly interested to see what that looks like as of now, after a 550-yard performance from the Bucs and almost 50 points. You know, let's just say 42 points put up by the offense against our defense. If you're talking, Cody, I can't hear you.
Muted, my fault. Dude, there's so much to comb through. There's so many things to talk about too. You know, if they did willingly sit JC Horn and a few other players, then how much of the blame do you put on Evero for the lack of personnel? This is the conversation that we've been having all season. Dude, there's so many different ways that you can cut through this onion, man. There's lots of different layers to it. But before we go any further, shout out to your boy, Spectre One Actual. It says it's MF Dizzle in the house. You already know it, man. That's the voice. And then Vegas Panthers Drew says this is prime example of an organizational tank. So everyone says this is tanking. Chat, y'all let me know. Was this tank or was this an old-fashioned ass kicking? Because I'm kind of believing that it was the latter of the two.
I think both can be true, though. Like, I think both can be true. A tank can happen, but you have your players going in there and playing their best. Because I mean, there were some it's not like these guys just came in here and were letting them walk into the end zone. At times it may have looked like that, but they were out there playing. These guys are frustrated too, right? So I think that the players out there we're getting a little we're getting shellacked, but I also think that the fact that the players that were in there were starting tells us that might have been an organizational tank. I think that's more true than I think that it's still an ass kicking that happens when something like this happens, but I don't think that it's necessarily in a vacuum.
So then how injured do you believe JC Horn was? You know what I'm saying? How mischievous or malicious is this to be like, let's get the better draft pick here. Dude, Tampa they came out and did everything right. Kalijah Cansey, the defensive lineman that they took out of Pitt, everyone was calling him the next Aaron Donald. Dude, he looks fucking vicious, man. He's really good at what he does. That's just on their defense alone. But I also feel like, and I said this too, so we can talk about Bryce a little bit now, is that to me, if you're a Bryce Young truther or a Bryce Young detractor, you saw something in this performance that reinforced your preconceived notion of who Bryce is as a quarterback. So Bryce made some incredible throws today, dude. That touchdown pass right before halftime, that has to have been the longest yardage throw that Bryce Young has made in his entire career. Dropped a bomb downfield in a bucket right into his hands. There are times when Bryce is really deciding to grip it and rip it and be aggressive. And this is always the player that we thought we were drafting out of Alabama. He was never shy, or it's not like he would ever push the ball downfield or not push the ball downfield at Alabama. But now we're starting to see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Also, in the third quarter, I felt like there were times when Bryson did miss a couple layup throws that did end up being over the head or just nowhere near the target. Now, granted, I don't put everything on him, but I continue to maintain that we are seeing the type of performances from Bryce that tell us that we have something to build around.
Yes.
And how important and how pivotal year 3 is going to be for him, CK.
Yeah. Well, and what you just stated is a prime example of why we need to fix our defense. Because like you were saying, yes, there were some missed throws, right? There's no denying that. But I'll tell you what, his growth has been impressive. And when you have a team built to where your offense has to be perfect, there is not a quarterback in the league that's going to be able to compete. There is not a quarterback in the league that's going to be able to compete that consistently. We would have had to score a touchdown on every single drive in order to maintain a competitive nature on this account, on this game today. That's how ridiculous our defense was. So that's my belief is right now the main thing we have to focus on is getting this defense fixed, so we're not stuck in a situation where we are having to play the perfect offensive game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, your offense is having to bail out your defense. And just a year ago, we felt like it was the other way around, that the defense at times was having to bail out the offense. But it's just been a complete reversal. Dude, this entire season has been such a roller coaster ride, dude. I mean, from the bottom, from Bryce getting benched to his return to the closely lost games against the Chiefs
the top
and the Eagles.
teams in the NFL. Yeah. And I mean, we almost beating the Bucs, who right now look like a powerhouse based on what they did today. I don't know if you would say that after seeing how they lost to the Cowboys and how the Cowboys just lost to Kenny Pickett and the Eagles. So definitely. But it's still like when you see what the Bucs, they came to play today. And Baker Mayfield is, no matter what you want to say about the dude, that dude is a real quarterback in this league, and he's proving to be a top 10, if not a top 5 quarterback in the league with the weapons that he has. And I think that is an example of why you need to be able to get weapons into this organization, like Mike Evans, like keeping Chuba Hubbard healthy. Think about that. We lost our run game, and this is what happened. That's the main. We lost a couple of key pieces. And the difference was we went from basically winning the game against Tampa a couple of weeks ago to getting absolutely blown out this week. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that when I look at the offense, like I don't see a lot of I don't know what else could be done outside of getting healthy on the offensive line and getting Chuba Hubbard back and maybe a really, a strong weapon at wide receiver. The main thing is just like I feel like we were forced to play a game that we aren't prepared to play because we don't have a defense that can keep us off the field.
So that actually that's a good segue to this to the C3 love bomb we have here from Stonewall for the 499s is don't blame the defense, no horn or jewel, and an offense going 3 and out so many times. So CK, piggybacking on that and what you just said, does that tell us how important Chuba Hubbard is to this offense or just running the football itself? Like how much of this is just not having our best offensive weapon that has kept us sustainable all year?
Well, I think that what happens is you run into a situation where the other team gets anytime they're double digits leads, we feel like we have to throw the ball. And when you don't have Chuba Hubbard to be able to run the ball, you are having to put the ball in Bryce Young's hands. And when you become a one-dimensional team with a team that doesn't have a run game, that doesn't have a great offensive line without Taylor Moton in a center with Cade Mays, who's just kind of letting people run over top of him. And I'm telling you, it's not going to get pretty. It's any time that we become one-dimensional is when we have had these games turn out like this. When we get 3 touchdowns behind, or even just 2, let's just say 2 touchdowns behind, we start to be a different team, and the defenses play us differently. They start bringing pressure, and they get home very frequently. I don't know what the overall answer is because, again, I am not a general manager in the league. I am not an offensive coordinator. But I'll tell you what, it felt like you saw the importance of why Dave Canales has the mindset that he has about running the ball. Because when you don't have a run game, this gets ugly quick.
It really does. This is probably the ugliest game that we've seen all year. That Chargers game that me and you were at, that was pretty bad. But this is definitely up there. CK, we're getting ready to go into some cat calls here in a minute, but since we're just running duo, me and you today, while we play some of the cat calls, I would like you to bring up the stats from today's game for Baker and a couple of the guys, and look up, if you would, our current draft order. Hey, you know what? The universe provides whenever you ask for it, because I literally, as I say that on Twitter, shout out to AVI Mike Rimmer on Twitter. So this is the current draft order. As it stands right now, I believe we have New England at 1.
2 spots.
Yeah, we moved up. So the Carolina Panthers currently hold the 7th pick in the draft. So again, from that perspective, losing is kind of a good thing. And let's be real, CK. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with the fans. There are many Panther fans right now who are kind of happy about what happened today, just because, one, if you weren't a fan of Avera before, this is probably the reason why he's going to get fired, which is what a lot of fans probably wanted. And then number 2, listen, we're not playing for anything, so we're essentially talking for draft picks right now. That's why you and I are having the conversation. Was it intentional, the certain benchings that they made before this game? And, kind of going in this for the draft. The draft is a relevant conversation at this point right now, and determining where we're going to be picking. But before we get into this cat calls, we have to talk about something else, CK, because we just can't run away from it. Like, I don't know how we can at this point. We have to talk about Xavier Leggett and the sheer amount of times now that he has dropped passes that either hit him right in the hands or right in the chest. Like, I want so badly to defend this guy. I'm a fan of his personality. I'm a fan of the way he speaks. I'm a fan of him being just a good down south country boy. I love that aspect about him. He's a cool dude to hang out with. And I do think that he's a rookie. And when you're a rookie in the NFL, you're going to have a shit ton of rookie growing pains.
Yeah.
But damn, CK, it's getting harder and harder to defend these drops and how continuously bad they are. And at the moments that they come in too.
They're momentum killers. They're momentum killers, dude. They're none more prevalent than that one against the Eagles. Like that was a go-ahead score right there. And that is just, man, when you have it in those circumstances, here's the thing. Everybody's going to have a drop or two, right? Chase, Jamar Chase had that big drop against, in that game yesterday, I think it was. And he came back and they were able to, pull it out, right? At the end of the day, he usually makes those catches, meaning Jamar Chase. Everybody has those issues. The problem is that he has more of those issues in big moments than most of the other people. And if he can, here's the thing, I believe that he is going to be able to turn that around. I'm not selling on Xavier Legette right now. I know a lot of people probably are, but he is a rookie. He's got to have an opportunity to have an offseason, understand the offseason, the way this offense runs and the reason that it runs the way that it does. And let's do the Chuba activities, whatever Chuba did to get his hands right. Get Xavier Legette on that regimen. I want to see this guy making those contested catches. I'm just ready to see his athleticism start to really shine. And I think he has the potential. He just needs to put it all together. So I'm not selling him. I'm not saying let's cut him, get him off the team, but I am saying that this year he has been a major factor to some of the biggest losses that we've had. And today I'm not putting on his shoulders. It does suck to have those momentum killers. But it's not fun to see those drops that take place, especially when you're not seeing, what seems like other rookie wide receivers in his class. Not, they seem to catch the balls when they're thrown their way.
How about this, CK? I'm not saying that we need to be done with him and he's trash or never be a good player, but I think that we made a mistake not benching him after Dallas.
Yeah,
I really do. Like, especially if we're talking about him being injured and him having this injury that's going back to South Carolina. Well, are you doing further damage to the hand now that he's out there? Because remember, he's not just being asked to catch passes; he's asked to block.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you have ever imagined blocking without using your hands. Kind of fucking hard to do.
Yeah,
it's an injury that if you're already sitting players like J.C. Horn and Chuba Hubbard's now on IR. Why is Xavier Legette not a part of that if he's injured? And, how long are we going to blame this on the injury versus him just looking dumb out there and dropping the most gimme passes that you can imagine? Like, this is
the thing that they should have done, and this is where I do agree, like, you're putting Chuba on IR, but you're not willing to put Xavier Legette on IR right now. Like after that Dallas game, the sooner after a few of those games where it was apparent that he's having some trouble with his confidence or something, get him to have that surgery early, because what's going to happen now is he's going to go have his surgery at the end of the season. He's going to have the recovery time, and then we're going to have the exact same thing happen at the beginning of next year, where we're going to start to say, well, he just had surgery. You got to give him time to get back in the rhythm of things. He didn't really have an full off season of learning the offense and, preparing and all of these things. The earlier you could have gotten him to get that surgery, the less likely you're going to be able to see what he really has without questioning. Is it because he didn't have the entire off season? Is it because of this or because of that? You absolutely are right, Cody. He should have had that surgery already. He shouldn't be out there. We're not playing for anything. And it's clear that he's not elevating this team in any way that seems tangible right now.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, it was just we're hurting ourselves with the way that we're going about this. CK, the last thing, and then we're going to jump into some cat calls here. Dude, Eddie fucking Pinheiro, dude. This is why, CK, I hate to uncover old bones that we already have buried, but this is why I went so hard during that whole Justin Tucker thing about Eddie Pinheiro being the most accurate guy. Like, with the considerably smaller sample size that Pinheiro had compared to a great like Justin Tucker, who, by the way, has started to revert back to how he used to look. He's reverted back to his old self. Like putting Pinheiro in the same category as a kicker, like Tucker, was just absurd to me, and it was disrespectful to me to a player like Tucker. I've never been a fan of Pinheiro. I'm still not a fan of Pinheiro. To me, he's the most unclutch kicker who is that everyone calls good, but in reality, you really can't actually pin the game on his foot or even an extra point now, man. It's getting embarrassing for him. I would much rather develop a kicker, like I wish we would have with Harrison Mevis, but develop a kicker rather than doing this every single year with Eddie Pinheiro, who, by the way, was holding out looking for a new contract.
Yeah, he was in the offseason. He was not at OTAs. And you're listen, there are, I'll go back to that argument. I never once was arguing that he was better than Justin Tucker. You go back and you'll hear me say that multiple times. I never once was making that argument. My argument was the facts were that he was the most accurate kicker. That did not mean he was the best kicker in the NFL. And by the way, the misses he's had has dropped him significantly down that list. I think number one, a prime example of another player you should have sat when you found out that he has a knee injury on his kicking leg that's going to cause him to need surgery in the offseason. You should have sat him again. Like you shouldn't, because now what's going to happen is you're going to open up the options of saying, well, he wasn't kicking as well because he had an injured knee, or he wasn't able to get the distance because he had an injured knee. I tell you what, I've seen more of his kicks land outside of the short of the target zone on kickoffs than anybody else in the NFL. At least it feels like to me, like where we have that penalty where they get the ball on the 40. And that's been detrimental because our defense can't stop a nosebleed, and giving them an extra 10 yards is absolutely hysterical. So I really don't know what to make of Eddie Pinheiro's fall as of late, because like normally he would be able to hit a lot of those. Like the extra points aren't normally an issue, right? And now all of a sudden you're putting him out there. You're not sure what you're experiencing from him. I personally would rather have a kicker that I can rely on to kick a 55-yard field goal, and not one where 453 is kind of at his max, right? I want a guy that you can be like, hey, listen, let's take him out there. We need to get to the 40-yard line, and we know we're going to win it. That's what I want. And we don't have that. Like anytime that you see him out there outside of the 30-yard line, your first question is, why are we not going for it? Like we should just go for it here. You should do what the Bengals did last week or yesterday, where they went out there. They decided on third down to let their kicker, Cade York, go out there and kick the field goal to try to win it in overtime. He donks it off the upright. And then they go and they decide where they're well within field goal range. They're like, yeah, we're not putting it on his foot anymore. And they throw the ball to T. Higgins in the end zone. I think that's going to become what we're having to do if they continue to move forward with Eddie Pinheiro. I don't think there's a chance that he's going to be here next year, barring something crazy happening. I think they're going to be pursuing another kicker. But he's had too many injuries this year and then the past couple of years, if I'm not mistaken.
People are blaming the duck. The duck was the reason for all of our woes today. But hey, man, shout out again to Vegas Panthers Drew for a $5 C3 bomb. Says this game was an answer to us winning last week. Bench the difference makers that kept us competitive or led to wins, so we improved draft position. So a lot of people are on your side in that regard, CK, that there was a concerted effort to sort of take our best guys and say, hey, man, we appreciate your efforts. We want you to be rested up and strong for next year. And we're going to live to play another day. And part of me respects it. But, man, I just hate seeing my team down that bad, CK.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good, man, seeing a 50 burger put on your team. And I do maintain that this will be the reason why Ejiro Evero is fired. But listen, man, I'm not doing my professor job correctly, because this is the show where we let Panther fans have their voice be heard. If you would like to call in to the show and leave a message in our cat calls line, that number is 252-228-5098. Have your voice heard on the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. CK, let's hear what these Panther fans have to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
C3 Panther Nation. It is your boy Preston from Hickory. Man, I'm just calling to talk about. First of all, this is going to be the first of my 2 calls because I'm calling at the end of the first half. Man, don't be discouraged, Panther Nation. Don't be discouraged if we lose this game. The Bucs have something to play for. They're going to play hard. I mean, Bucky Irvin's looking like a monster right now. Don't be discouraged for the loss. This is literally about this young core squad, especially on offense. Bryce is balling right now. I don't care what anybody says. Like, yeah, you know, the first drive especially, that boy was, I mean, he was putting the ball on the money. 3 for 3, right down the field, walked them downfield for a touchdown. I think the plan a lot with today's game is to get Leggett, you know, in a rhythm and see what we got with him too. But this is just coaching for the future right now. That's what Dave Canales is doing. He's coaching for the future. He's coaching to get this young squad ready for next season. And so, I mean, as much as a Panthers fan, as much as I want us to win this game, it's about the good that we can get out of this game. It's about healthy competition and getting those boys out there to get some quality reps. Yeah. So, Bryce has looked good so far. I've liked what I've seen from him, even with, you know, us going, I think it was like 3 or 4 3-and-outs in a row after that first drop for a touchdown. And then right before the half, Bryce throws a bomb to Adam Thielen over the top of the defense. The kid is money. But, yeah, like I said, that's my first of 2 calls. I'll call back at the end of the game, see what's going on. But, yeah, boys, keep pounding. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Listen, great call there from my boy Preston. I mean, so, yeah, we've been talking about that, how much of this is on people just sitting players down. But going back to Bryce specifically, though, dude, Bryce in these hurry-up scenarios is starting to look lethal, man. He really is. Like, in these, you know, hurry-up scenarios when you got to have it, he's looking good. And CK, now I don't even know if I told you this before the show or during the show, but I'm loving Bryce's propensity to push the ball, grip it and rip it. He does not seem scared. This is, you know, like I said earlier, you and I went to the Chargers game, the home opener this year, and that Bryce Young and this Bryce Young that we saw today, they're night and day different dudes. Yeah. Like his propensity to grip the ball, rip it downfield, be aggressive, put the ball on the line, on the money. Dude, even the touchdown down the seam to Adam Thielen. Like it was just a well-placed ball right where Adam Thielen can get it, which, by the way, that's another thing we need to talk about, Adam Thielen just being a baller. But Bryce is starting to look really good in some of these specific scenarios like hurry up.
Yeah, dude, it's I think that is, I remember that game, and that was when I think a lot of people's opinions were really just kind of solidified on Bryce, because it was clear that there was just a fear or something that was blocking him from wanting to throw the ball down the field. Here we are, you know, in that situation. It's been consistent week over week. Look at the past 9 weeks, and I would be interested to look and see what the final drive of the second quarter or the first quarter or the first half rather, where he's in the 2-minute offense. The dude is money. Dude got down there for a minute and 30 seconds and was able to score a touchdown with a deep ball to Adam Thielen. Not only that, they got the ball back with 25 seconds left, no timeouts, if I'm not mistaken. And they still got the ball within Eddie Pinheiro's
range.
Eddie Pinheiro's range. Again, going back to Eddie Pinheiro missed that kick, but in a matter of 2 minutes, he was putting us in a position to actually make this a competitive game. And so there is a clutch aspect to it. I just don't. The thing that I think is the biggest knock on what we see with these, like when we lose like this, like if it's like a one-sided affair, I think that Bryce doesn't have the ability to come back and win games with like when things are this lopsided. And that would be my biggest thing I think we got to worry about with Bryce Young moving forward. Now that we've seen him fix some of the things we were concerned about, is being able to win the games that feel unwinnable. And if he can change that, then I think we're a much more complete of a team than we thought.
Yeah. We've checked off a few boxes this year. We've seen Bryce be competitive in games where he wasn't supposed to be. He's continued to notch a few of these things off of his belt. Putting his foot on someone's throat is one that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the Panthers with Bryce Young go out and absolutely trounce somebody.
That's what I thought. The first half, the way that it was going, I thought this was going to be Bryce Young's 350-yard, 4-touchdown type of game. Because, I mean, he was on pace for that. If you look at the stats at the end of the first half, it's just, when you're having to take these big sacks and everything, when you don't have a running game, dude, we ran for, I think somebody was showing it, we ran for like 60 yards as a team today. Just abysmal, man.
The Carolina Panthers are a run-first football team, and when we don't do that effectively, you see how bad things go for us. Let's continue on with the cat calls.
Oh, boy. C3 Panther Nation. It's your boy Preston from Hickory again calling. Well, the Bucks and Baker and Bucky Irvin and Mike Evans, they pretty much just confirmed what we already knew. This defense, the Carolina Panthers 2024 defense is ass, trash, rubbish, garbage, whatever you want to call it. It's terrible. So, first order of business, get Ajero Avero, get his ass the fuck out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Get him away from this Panthers team. So, I mean, I wasn't really too much expecting us to actually win this game because we don't have a defense that's good enough to stop a well-oiled machine like that who is fighting hard to get into the playoffs. They came in and they knew what they needed to do and they handled their fucking business. So as much as I can't stand them, kudos to Baker and the Bucks, But I know one thing. We need to do everything we can to re-sign Adam Thielen to an extension. I know he's going to be a free agent after this season, I'm pretty sure. We need to re-sign Adam Thielen. The chemistry with him and Bryce, just Adam being such a reliable receiver, man, you can't beat that. Him and Bryce are, they're clicking. They have a rhythm. I think today they were trying to get XL into a rhythm. Look, I think he's a raw talent. We're going to have to see what he can do next season. But, I mean, look, boys, this was about the future. These last games of the season is about the future. They can now coaching for the future. And I think we'll be all right. I don't let this game discourage you.
No.
The Bucks are a hell of a team who know they're right there and they just need to get a win to get into the playoffs. And they exposed the hell out of our very terrible defense. So don't be discouraged about this. We didn't have shit to play for. They did. But that's all this week, boys. Keep pounding. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Another conversation that's being had in the chat room here, CK, while we're taking the cat calls, is that of JC Horn and what type of corner he is and how much you pay him and how much did you look at this performance today and say, God, it's hard to imagine how bad this backfield is without JC Horn in it. Mike Jackson, who I think we've been very complimentary of, CK, dude, he got abused today, man. It looked bad. Mike Evans pretty much had his way with him in whatever way he wanted, no pause, you know what I'm saying? That was, it was bad. And listen, I maintain that J.C. Horn, when you look at his play against some of the best wide receivers in the NFL, dude, J.C. Horn is a top flight corner. Like, I would rather have J.C. Horn on this team than not have him. And I think days like today do show you what kind of importance he does have to this defense.
Yeah, this is the worst case scenario if you're the Panthers to have this happen the way that it did the day that you put him on the inactive list. It certainly, I think a lot of people are asking, does this increase his price? I don't see how it's not a part of the negotiations when that his agent is going to be like, hey, listen, you took him off the field and you guys got obliterated through the air, almost 500 yards. I mean, almost 600 yards in total offense that was being able to be had without him on the field. I think that he's going to be priced pretty high for us to bring him back, and I think you got to do it. I don't think you can roll the dice on those key positions and trying to replace him in the draft. And we need a guy who's going to be here for the long term. Just like we need a lot of other pieces. So let's lock that up instead of adding another problem to the list of things that we need to replace.
Yeah. So per C3 Panther Pickle, according to Joe Person, the Panthers were missing a linebacker, Josie Drew, and J.C. Horn. But this was the type of performance that gets coordinators fired, putting Ejiro Rivero's job status in jeopardy. So that's Joe Person kind of saying the quiet part out loud. Don't know if we necessarily needed him to even tell us that, but that's how it's looking right now. CK.
I mean, it almost feels as though most, like even somebody who has been usually kind of a historically a fence rider when it comes to being harsh on people, players, coaches, things like that. Sheena Quick seems to be off the Evero train too. She had posted something about he should not have been that wide open, and then everybody's going on, we don't have anybody on defense, and she's like, even if the star players were in there, he would have been wide open in that situation.
This whole thing has run its course, man. I said, there are some Panther fans that fucking hate Ejiro Rivero. I don't hate the dude. I don't think he's the worst defensive coordinator ever. I think that you're being disingenuous if you don't also factor in the lack of talent that we have and the amount of players that were out and the injuries that are on this team. You have to mention that in order to be fair. But at the same time, this train has run its course.
Yeah.
The defensive alignments are terrible for the type of personnel that we have. His inability to make proper adjustments has been on display all year. And we now have a 3-year sample set of this defense not being able to adequately defend against the run. This is a common occurrence on that team. And I don't know how you put it on anyone other than Ejiro Rivero right now.
And that's the thing with him too, is I've always stated it. I think that, everybody's going to look back to his year in Denver, right, and say, well, he could be. It's clear to me that for his defense to run effectively, you need superstars at every level, right? Like you need the Chubbs or the Von Millers, or you need Surtain or something along. He does not have. It just feels as though his defense only works when the players are the best in the league at what they do. And I don't think that's what you want in a good defensive coordinator. You want a defensive coordinator that can turn average talent into elite players in the NFL, and he hasn't done that. When you see this defense on the field, they play exactly the way you expect them to, and that's a problem. Like you need a coordinator that elevates that is getting the most out of these players, and it just feels like we're doing exactly what we expect to do, and that's it.
Yeah. Let's take another one.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier. Damn, what an ass whipping, man.
What up,
right
G?
now it's 48-14 in the fourth, and I know we ain't gonna win this game. What the hell happened? Our defense is a fucking mess, man. It really is, man. It's like the first half was pretty good, you know, and Bryce played pretty good. You know, he gave up a couple of sacks to the O-line or whatever, but damn, I did not see no damn getting blown out like this. I thought it was going to be a close game. So I really wanted the Panthers to win and to kill Tampa Bay's playoff spots like we did with Arizona last week. But getting blown out by 30 fucking points, and Baker Mayfield threw for over 300 yards, and he running back rushed for over 100 yards. Yeah, our damn defense. We need to really up our damn defense. Our offense is not that damn bad. Thielen had a good fucking game. So did damn Coker, man. But you could tell Chuba Hubbard wasn't there. Because Black here, he did the best that he could, man. But if Chuba was there, it would be a little bit different, you know. But he's on IR and everything like that. So, yeah, fellas, we ain't going to the playoffs. But next week, we got the faggot-ass fucking Falcons. And y'all know me, I cannot stand the fucking Falcons. So, give me your thoughts on that, y'all. And always remember, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. CK, especially after today. And again, they beat the Panthers, so it's like, how much can you read into it? But yeah. I think today, Tampa, they cemented why they're going to win the NFC South. I don't think that they're going to get past Atlanta. Now, Atlanta controls their own destiny, and they don't play Tampa again, to my knowledge.
No. So they play us next week, and so you know we can pretty much kind of do that, right? But here's the thing: if the Falcons win against the Commanders, which let's be real about it, it's a possibility. It's maybe not a likely outcome, but it's a possibility that they do win that game. And if they do, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Falcons are going to win the NFC South, which is a huge disservice to the Buccaneers, because I think they're head and shoulders a better team than the Falcons are. I think they just got the better of the Bucs when they played them this year, both times. I think right now the Bucs are clearly showing why they're a good football team. Again, I know this is almost recency bias when you see how bad they lost to the Cowboys, but it is what it is, man. I think the Bucs clearly showed that they are the team to beat in the NFC South, but I'm worried that they're not going to have an opportunity to actually make it to the playoffs because of the Commanders game tonight.
Yeah, shout out to our girl Kristen Butler in the chat. She's already floating an idea that a lot of people are mentioning. Ron Rivera as our defensive coordinator here in Carolina. Could you imagine something like that, dude? That's absurd.
No, I sure can.
Yeah, I also don't know if I approve that message, Kristen. I know a lot of people would, but also remember, it's your nostalgia talking too. Like some of your best years of Panther fandom came under a Ron Rivera regime. I get that too. He's also not the head coach in this scenario, but no, dude, we need a young mind that I think will really gel with this coaching staff that this front office has really done a great job hiring up until this point. But, hey, we're getting ready to take some more cat calls. And you can call in at 252-228-5098. Have your voice be heard on the longest running Panthers podcast. But before we do, I need to tell you how the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to cash in all your takes this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few steps and turn your sports opinions into real money. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog. With their champs game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. They offer vulture protection. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, we will rescue your entry. They have Red Zone Rush, a game you will not find on any other app. Just pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown by swiping right for yes and left for no. Simple as that. Plus, your entry will be automatically boosted, and you will get a 51% profit boost when you play. Dude, Underdog Fantasy is awesome. They're supporting us all the way through February. what we would like you to do is go to underdogfantasy.com, sign up using our promo code C3P, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's promo code C3P, and that helps us out tremendously. Must be 18 years of age, 19 plus in Alabama, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778 New York, or text Hope New York to 467-369. Once again, thank you to Underdog for being the sponsor of the C3 Panthers podcast all the way through February. CK, let's take another call, bro.
Let's do it.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Sunday. Yeah, got blown out today. Really looked like the team was out there tanking, man. Like, no run game. Canales didn't even try to run. You know, he was just calling a bunch of deep shots for Bryce. That's cool. I mean, he hit on a good chunk of them. I thought he played solid, but I mean, you can't really judge anyone in this game. Like, the defense was completely atrocious, and I knew that Tampa Bay was going to sweat their ass off because they need this game, obviously, with the Falcons playing the Commanders tonight. So it is what it is. You know, if this is what they want to do, I guess this is what to expect next week versus the Falcons. I guess Dan Morgan really wants better draft position because the team came out and looked like a Matt Rule ran team. Like they didn't believe in their coach. Obviously they do. I do believe that. There's just too many injuries on the defense. I mean, it's horrible. So it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, man. But, you know, I guess the positive is Bryce Young has, I think it's 16 total touchdowns since he came to play back in week 8, which is great, which is like 32 touchdowns over a 16 game sample size. So, you know, that's good stuff to see. But yeah, again, I mean, if this is what they want to do, like, go ahead and do this. But my question is, if you just wanted to completely give up on the season now, why didn't you just give up on the season a week or two earlier so you would have been 100% guaranteed a higher draft pick? I don't know. The logic really doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is, honestly. Not much to say.
I love how Anthony has to snack in the middle of his
No,
But yeah, hope you boys had a good day. It's really all I got to say, man. I think this season there's definitely some positive stuff to take away with. I think we definitely should believe in our team going into next year to at least continue to get better. But yeah, a very questionable game today. Lost 48-14. Definitely weird. Definitely a weird game. Bucky Irving kicked our ass. It's just it's the same thing. It feels like it's the same formula, you know. But that's all I gotta say, man. Give me your thoughts, Anthony from Charlotte. Keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep pounding, bro. I mean, listen, how much blame again? Like we're talking about did we tank or not? And then if that's true, if a lot of people are saying that this is a tank, I feel like we kind of have to ease up on the coaches a little bit too. Like if we know that that's what it is, like how much are we able to blame Canales for the play calling today? Like I really don't think too much. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, yeah, there was a lot of pass plays, but again, you lost your best offensive weapon on the year in Chuba Hubbard.
Right.
So,
My biggest thing would be I feel like not making a more concerted effort to run the ball, even though, I mean, I think we had 8 or 10, or it might have been a couple of more, but like I think our number, or Mike Boone, I think he had like 8 rush attempts, maybe he had 10, I couldn't remember, but we had 39 yards, right, in total rushing. I said 60 earlier. It was only 39, which is even worse, obviously. And I think that you're putting the pressure on Bryce Young to take more hits that are unnecessary in a season that doesn't matter, by not committing to the run. And I think the score, I think that is a fault of Canales today. I know that, you might have a differing opinion, but I think that if you were in fact, really, if the goal was to tank, I feel like the idea would be to run the ball more, get the clock to run out. Because here's the thing, I don't think you want to tank and make it look embarrassing. Right? Like I don't think if you can tank and look competitive, I think that makes more sense. But if you can tank and it's an embarrassing tank, I don't think that does you any favors as an organization. That's where I think that there was a failure on the coaching staff of, if this was a concerted effort to lose this game, doing it in this manner just did not. It's not a way to do it. I would have much rather this be a competitive situation, and it might have been intended to be, but just not putting yourself in a position to run the ball, that's problematic to me.
Yeah. Let's take another call.
Hey guys, it's Panthers Realist. Next time I ever hear someone advocate wanting to keep a defensive or offensive coordinator because there's rumors that if the team was a little bit better, they might get a head coaching job, and we want the compensatory draft pick because they're a minority, I'm going to vomit. Football is a merit-based and a performance-based sport and business, and I'm sorry, you don't hang on to people in hopes that they might just get better enough that somehow miraculously, with that terrible team, they're going to get a head coach job and go ahead and just throw away one side
No
of
one's
the ball.
hired as a head coach anyway.
That doesn't work. Sorry, guys, but Ebro Ezero should have been gone a year ago. He should have been thrown out to goodwill with the rest of the garbage we had last year. Just a lesson for all those people on the Friday free-for-all that forever and ever were screaming and yelling how we got to hang on to Evero so we can get a draft pick. No, you don't hang on to him for a draft pick. You blow him out because his defense doesn't work. And let's face it, his performance doesn't warrant being here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, CK, you want to comment?
I mean, I agree. I think we all are. I don't really know that there's many people arguing to keep Evero anymore. Like anybody who's doing it is just doing it at as an effort of futility at this point. Like there are people who are still trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and saying, we don't have good talent or anything. Again, and somebody in the chat was saying, what do you expect to be able to turn a 3-tier, linebacker into a Pro Bowler? And I said, nobody's arguing that you should turn somebody who is a third stringer on another team into an elite player. But I do think that elevating the talent is something that's expected of a defensive coordinator. And if every single position group is playing as though they're confused of what they're supposed to be doing, then that's a problem with the defensive coordinator not getting the message across, or it's just a poor scheme. It's one that, when you have a wide open tight end in the back of the end zone because somebody's confused about a pick play, that's a problem. And that's a problem that's got to fall back on your defensive coordinator when it's happened so many times this year. So, yeah, it is fair to blame Evero. And it's fair to say the same thing is, it sucks that he didn't have the players healthy every single year that he's been the defensive coordinator. But I'll tell you what, most of the people that wanted Bryce Young to be benched also were thinking, hey, listen, it doesn't matter what happened last year. I don't care if he has the worst offensive line in the league. I don't care if he has no weapons. He sucks. He wasn't elevating the people around him. Well, guess what? Evero is doing the same thing 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no more excuses, man. The rubber has met the road, and it's time to move on. CK, 4 more calls. Let's run through them.
Hey, boys. What's going on? It's the Hope Dilla checking in real quick.
Hope Dilla?
Well, after the game today, I've been through the 5 stages of grief. I think all of our Panther fans have. First, we had denial. Then stage 2, anger. Then we went through stage 3, bargaining. Stage 4, depression. And I don't know about y'all, but with 1 game left, I'm in stage 5, which is acceptance.
Yeah.
I've accepted the fact that this is what it is, guys. This defense ain't going to get no better like this. This run defense is, once again, just... If this doesn't show that Evero needs to go, you know, I don't know what else can be said, but Evero needs to go. I understand that there's been some strides from time to time this season, and I understand he's had injuries and all of that. But at the end of the day, this is the NFL. This is a performance-based league. And when you got historically one of the worst defenses and you can't stop the run, I don't see another way, guys. Evero got to go. We got to draft defense, and we got to build this thing up around Bryce. Bryce is the guy, it looks like, at least for next year. But, hey, I've accepted it. Let's accept it, baby. Moving into the off season, 1 game left. It's the hope dealer. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Yeah, listen, I'm in that acceptance stage too, my brother.
Yeah.
I really am. Like, you know, we're not planning for anything. We're really planning for next year. We're essentially just looking at the guys that we know we want to be a part of what we're building next year. So, for example, Adam Thielen. Like, I remember before last year, there was talks about, oh, do we do right by him and trade him to a team where he can go and win? Like, now I couldn't imagine what this offense is looking like without Adam Thielen. I want him to be a part of it, man. That's one fucking cold-ass white boy. Still at 34 years old, man.
I mean, I do too. I think you just need to really start thinking about his successor to the to the team. The thing I like about having an Adam Thielen is I think he is going to be a great example of how you prepare, how you play the game, how you understand the offense and things like that. I think he would be better as a, you know, very helpful to, you know, allow players like Liggett, Coker to understand the game a little bit more quickly. So I think that there is value in keeping him around. I don't know at what value I'd be willing to pay him, but I think he's back next year regardless anyway, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he has 1 more year. 1 more year on his contract. Also, the continued emergence of Jalen Coker makes all this a lot easier too. There are things that you're looking for now to be able to build around, and I think that's what we take away from all this. 3 more calls.
Hey, this is Stonewall. Just want to say, great show, guys. The best Panther podcast on the internet. Looking forward to next season.
You, brother.
We're going to have a great team. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Great call, man. Yeah, thank you to Stonewall. Donated to us earlier as well. Yeah, man. Listen, we're a year-round podcast. You know, we do our thing for Panther fans. We serve the C3 Legion. So y'all are the reason why we do it, man. Like I've said before, and CK knows this, I haven't been on this podcast and have the Panthers have a winning season. So we're in a drought out here, dude.
Can you imagine how good it's gonna feel when we're back to being a good, and we can have a podcast to come on here and talk about how good we're doing?
Yeah,
we were on here for 2017, weren't we? Or was that the year we started?
No, because my first year was in 2018. I used to call into the cat calls before.
That's right. That's right.
Once upon a time, I was known as the YouTube champion, or at least self-styled YouTube champion. But then 2018, because I remember the first time I was on the show was when we drafted DJ Moore on that draft night. So ever since then, we haven't had
you started this. I started that same off season later on, I think, but we started that year on the butt end of this thing going the way that it did. The start. You're absolutely right. You are legitimately the start of the downfall.
Yeah, dude. Maybe I need to fuck off, man, for the health of the
Get out of here.
Oh man, but yeah, shout out to the C3 Legion. We love y'all. Shout out to Stonewall. And to everybody that rocks with us, man, that's been with the podcast longer than I've been here. And for everybody who's still here with us now, we appreciate y'all. We do it for y'all. 2 more calls.
Hey, I just wanted to touch base as far as Ebro goes. I don't think it's Ebro's fault. We just don't have the talent on defense. I mean, we let Ebro go other than Robert Saleh. If we can get him, I don't know who we can get that would be better. I'd like to hear your thoughts on
that. So, I mean, really right now, there's only 2 names that are like ringing at the top of my head. One we just talked about, Ron Rivera, and people were talking about his age in relation to Steve Spagnuolo and Fangio and how he's younger than both of those guys. But again, the name that I've been focusing on is Robert Saleh, the former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, but the recently fired head coach for the New York Jets. I like that he runs a 4-3 defense. I think that he's a tough-minded defensive guy. I think that he can make this defense really good, which the Jets were last year under Saleh.
Yeah.
But also he has a history with both Dave Canales and Dan Morgan. So these guys have a bit of a history. I have a bit of a background. I think that just fits, man. That's like a puzzle piece coming together and fitting nicely. So that's one I would like. I know there's another couple names that people have floated out. Leslie Frazier is another one. So there are going to be some guys this offseason that we're going to be able to start to look forward to. But to me, that's the final piece of this coaching staff puzzle, though, CK, is that, you know, they built the coaching staff the way they wanted to from the offense forward. But now they got to revamp this entire defensive coaching staff. And I'm excited to see what Dave Canales and Dan Morgan are going to look to bring here to Carolina and how that differs schematically from what we're doing now under Rivera.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. And I'll be interested to see who we go with, because I think who we go with is going to give us a pretty good indication of where we decide to go in the draft based on what defense they have run in the past. So as an example, if you see somebody who, like a Robert Saleh, I think he's going to pursue edge player all day, every day. I think that's going to be his decision. He's going to be like, hey, listen, if I'm going to come here, I think in the draft, we focus on getting somebody from the edge to rush the quarterback. We need a Joey Bosa type or a Nick Bosa type or something like that to be able to get to the quarterback. And I think that's going to be more interesting to be able to kind of discern what type of a player we're going to get based on which defensive coordinator we go with too.
Yeah. All right. Final call of the night goes to the Blind Panther himself. Wakanda forever.
Hey guys, it's the girl that makes them howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther. Well, not a good game today. I quit watching at the end of the third quarter. I mean, it was clear that we weren't going to win that game. Really from the start of the second half, it was kind of clear to me. But one thing to take away from this game, Bucky Irving is a beast. And Mike Evans is a beast too. And Bucky's a rookie. He's going to be in our division for a while, so Dan Morgan really needs to prioritize stopping the run on defense, because it's like having Christian McCaffrey on another team in our division again. Oh, and Atlanta has Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, and New Orleans has Alvin Kamara. So, yeah, stopping the run is very important this offseason. I mean, we need everything on defense, but we really got to stop the run, because our division is full of great running backs, including our very own Chuba Hubbard. But that needs to be a priority. Our defense, I mean, our whole team is so banged up. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, not much to say other than
wow. We appreciate you, Joey. Listen, he makes a point there. It's like having McCaffrey in the NFC South.
Oh, no.
everybody can just run all over you. It's the largest, most glaring hole on the team right now, to the point where it's almost a good thing, CK. Because I've been on this for a while. That like going into last season, you knew the priority was to build around Bryce.
And what did we do?
Weapons and build him a wall in front of him. And that's what we did. We literally did that in the form of Gabriel Lewis and Robert Hunt, and then Deontay Johnson and Xavier Liga. Now, Johnson didn't work out. We're still trying to build, and we probably do need another wide receiver to add to this offense this year. And we'll talk about those, if that's a guy in the draft or if that's T. Higgins. But above all of that, one thing that we know for sure, the Panthers' ability to stop the run is the worst in the NFL, dude. We're so terrible at it that we're going to continue to be a laughing stock unless we can actually fix this and turn it around. I'm with our boy Sportsnut CJA here. He says, imagine going to a 4-3 with Derek Brown and Mason Graham. That's the defensive tackle from Michigan, who is just a badass, dude. And he literally is incredible at stopping the run, sniffing out the run, and shutting it down. So if he's available, again, I don't know what the range where we're going to be picking is. I don't know what all has to happen to get Carolina picking higher than 7. But as of right now, if we're at number 7, which I also believe that's where Derek Brown was drafted too, number 7. So that would also kind of be cool and a little bit poetic.
Right.
To get his right-hand man, literally and figuratively, at the same spot in the draft. But yeah, we have to be able to stop the run. And I think that now, since our mission is so clear about what to do in the offseason, it's almost streamlined the process for us, CK.
No, I agree. I think that's what I like about having an off season where there is a clear direction that we need to focus on, because it allows in my opinion, it allows our GM and his staff to be a little bit more focused on the things that they want to look at. Like if we were a good team that maybe there are 1 or 2 holes, you kind of have to look at everything, right? And here, I mean, they're going to do the same thing. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're just going to be focused on defensive tackle. They're going to look, they're probably going to interview quarterbacks. They're probably going to do a lot of things. But to be able to know going into the draft that you have a specific goal in mind, I think it does allow you to be a little bit more thorough with those draft prospects and who you're going after in free agency as well. So I agree with you.
My God, what's it going to look like next week playing against Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier?
Dude, it's right now, if I'm you, I'm putting money on the over for rushing yards for the Falcons. And no matter what it is, they could put 200 yards. I'd be just putting the over on that, because I think they're not going to put the game in Penix's hand. JC Horn might be back next week. I don't think that they would have.
Why would you? I'm going to throw a fucking conniption fit if they play JC Horn next
But here's the thing: if you were planning on not having him, you would have put him on reserve too. You would have just shut him down for the year, just like you did with Chuba and Chow Smith-Wade.
Dude, how dumb would it be if one of our best players ended up getting hurt in a meaningless final game of the year against the Falcons?
And that'd be the most Panthers thing to happen too.
Yeah, dude, shut everyone down, dude. I mean, I know they got to play, but fuck, man. All right, well, CK, it is that point in our show. It's time to dab on some folk, or AKA some ballerinas, big balls, like Tony likes to talk about. But we can either go ball out, or we can go towel or shame. Which one would you prefer to do first?
Let's end it on a positive note. So let's do the towel of shame first.
All right, who's your towel of shame going to?
Man, let's say towel of shame. I just got to give it to Evero. I mean, it's got to be Evero for me.
That's a good pick. My pick for the towel of shame is Eddie Pinheiro. You suck. You suck. I've never said you were good. I've never said that you were the answer and kicker. I wanted to develop Harrison Mevis. You suck. You suck. You suck. And you better not even imply that you want a newer, bigger contract.
That would be wild. That'd be wild.
With your
that dude sat out
haircut,
again.
With his ridiculous haircut. What a dork. Anyway, now let's dab on some folks. Okay, who are you dabbing on this week?
Adam Thielen, bro, balled out today.
Yeah.
Listen, that was one of the things that's always been a knock on him is his speed. And multiple times today, the dude was just out running the younger, supposedly faster players on the Bucs secondary, and getting some big plays out of it. So I'm giving that dude the dab on him.
Yeah, man. I myself am going to dab on Jalen Coker. I think Jalen Coker, he wasn't the loudest receiver today, but he makes some great plays at some big times. And listen, like going forward, he's one of the players that I'm most excited about in the future. Him getting an offseason under his belt. You know, we forget that he's a rookie too, an undrafted rookie at that. Give him another year, another offseason to continue to grow, get better, understand what his body does well, play to his strengths. And I think that this dude is really going to be awesome for this team in the future, man. I'm so excited about what Jalen Coker has the potential to be for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
A good runner-up would have been Bryce. I think Bryce played well today, had some misses, but also his continuing penchant to throw the football down the field, it heartens me, CK, because this is what we wanted. We wanted to see him be more aggressive. We wanted to see him push the ball downfield and be comfortable and confident enough to do so. That's been a big deal for us. And now that we're seeing that from him, that just makes me feel better from top to bottom, that we're going to have something to build on next year from our quarterback.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. Well, that will do it. This is another edition of the C3 Panthers podcast, man. We will be back on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Or no, when's New Year's?
We having to do Wednesday, so we were talking about doing the longer show on Tuesday.
Okay, keep it tuned. We're talking about maybe doing a New Year's stream on New Year's night, if that's something that anybody in the Legion would be a fan of. And we're gonna continue to discuss it. Follow us on Twitter. Mine is at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. CK, where can they find you?
You can find me at on X as well at Codizzle Allen. We're just going to be doing this together every single week here. It's going to see me more often than not here talking it up with Cody and Tony, and hopefully Greg here as the off season starts to approach. He'll hopefully be able to carve out some extra time to be able to spend some time with us as well. Get the four horsemen back together, if you will. But I'm just happy to be able to chop it up with all you guys in the chat, and you as well, Cody. Appreciate you being here when Tony needed a mental break.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, we're all here for one another. C3 Legion. We are strong. Panther Nation, I will tell you all, keep pounding. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and we will be back this week as we wind down the season, as we get ready to play our last game of the 2024 campaign against the Atlanta Falcons. My name's Cody Lashney. That's Codizzle Allen. C3 Legion, we love you. Keep pounding, baby.
Keep pounding.